This presentation, we're going to be going through general project knowledge and product knowledge. We'll be looking at project spotlights, and also we'll go through how to obtain quotes from EOS and how to place orders at the end of the presentation. So EOS is a award-winning manufacturer of custom LED light panels. So we backlight a number of different applications, anywhere from retail, hospitality, healthcare, architectural signage, architectural lighting, casino design, and residential projects as well. I noticed from the attendees we have on a mixture of architects and designers, as well as representation of our local rep groups in area. So thank you guys so much for joining us. If you are an architect or designer, we do have rep groups in many areas throughout the United States. So be sure to look at our website and see who's local to your area. At the end of the presentation, we'll go through sort of our website and what's on it as well. To find those local rep groups, you're going to click on the contact and then find representation in our area. How we got started was one of the first projects with the SLS Hotel in Beverly Hills. So as you can see in the before shot there, we are backlighting an amber glass, and previously they were using T5 fluorescent tubes just behind that glass in the shelving system that held the bottles. So you can see that you see the hot spots of the fluorescent tubes, and it just didn't give an overall uniform look and looked sort of uncontemporary, right? So in order to fix those issues so that you had more highlight on the bottles, of course, and on the shelving, we replaced those fluorescent tubes with LED backlit panels. Each one of these behind the glass shelves there, we actually just put the light panel right against the tombstones of the fluorescent tubes there, and it's shining through the glass even and uniformly, and that's what we're all about, even uniform light. So how do we make the product? We start with a 1/4-inch piece of optical grade clear acrylic, and then we laser etch a graduated pattern into it. That graduated pattern is going to pick up the light from the LEDs that we put into a channel on the side there. It's indirect lighting, so the LEDs are shooting into the panel. It picks up in that laser etching and provides a uniform, consistent look no matter the size or the shape. We then covered the LED strip so you don't see the hot spots of the diodes inside the panel with a white reflective taping, and then put a reflective material on the back as well so the light bounces through all the areas of the panel and then shines out as bright as possible through the face of the light panel. Our sizes range from anywhere between 1-inch to 2-inch to about 10 feet by 80 inches. So we can do really large light panels or really small light panels, and everything is custom manufactured to your project's specifications. The panels are also super slim, starting, like I said, at 1/4 of an inch, but they range all the way up to about 1/2 an inch for some of our larger panels, or if we're going to do a color tuning or color changing strip as well. We have to bump up the thickness a little bit. In larger sizes too, we want to bump up the thickness. It just adds a little bit more rigidity to the light panel, gives it a little bit more structural support. All of our products are UL listed for architectural projects, and we can be UL recognized for signage products if you're working with a sign manufacturer. They are all dimmable down to 10% when matched with a dimmable power supply. All of our power supplies are also UL listed, so you'll get a fully UL listed products for your projects. And we have the ability to do USB compatibility too in specific sizes. So a couple of our different options. The laser etching, like I said, is what picks up the light from the edge and carries it through the panel. If we're backlighting a really transparent material, like say a clear glass or a blue glass that's very transparent, and you don't want to see the laser etching come through it, we can offer an optional diffuser that just gives you a nice sheet of white light and you don't see that laser etching. If we're backlighting graphics, we also have a clear PET, it's a polycarbonate that we can offer as well. So it protects the graphic print as well as provide a little bit of barrier and sort of sandwich the print against the light panel as well. Our white color temperatures are going to start at 1800 Kelvin and go all the way up to 6500 Kelvin. So really anywhere in between those, we've got a color to fit your needs. Our most popular ones are going to be the 2700 Kelvin, a 3500 for healthcare, a 5000 or a 6000 if we're going to be backlighting graphics. But we've got plenty of samples, and our reps have plenty of samples in your area, so that you can take the light panel, you can light it up, you can put the material that you're intending to backlight on top of it and see which one best fits your project needs. All of our panels are low voltage. So we've got a 24 volt output at the panel there, and our drivers can work with a variable input anywhere from 100 up to 480, I believe, as far as input from the building's power. So we always have to have a remote driver with our products as well that we provide. And we have a couple of different etching patterns that we use. Our grid pattern is going to be our workhorse. If we know that we're backlighting something, we don't want to see any lines through it. For graphics, for instance, we'll use our dot pattern. If we're going to use our frosted diffuser, we use a dot pattern as well. But your project manager will go through and say and evaluate, what are we backlighting? What's the application, and determine which pattern technology works best for your project. So our basic light panel system is the workhorse of our product line right now. We use this in probably about 80% of the applications that we do. It's going to have that white reflective backer on the back of it. It's going to have the white waterproof taping that covers the LEDs that we embed along the edge of the panel. It's going to be super slim. It's going to be able to put material on it without having any lip or reveal of any framework on the outside. We use this panel system for the Residence Inn in Cupertino here. We backlit curtain walls on about 3 towers for this project, and this is green glass that we were doing. What we had to do is make sure if there were any issues that they could get the panels out. So we reduced the size to fit within each one of the steel mullions there, and it attached mechanically affixed to the back wall of the building. So here you can see a couple little product install shots there, scaffolding with them putting the light panels against the building. And you can just see what a nice consistent look it gave in that project shot on the right there. Just really turned out spectacular. So we backlight all sorts of things, interior projects. This one, we used our standard damp construction light panel because it was going to be covered with the glass curtain wall, and they just wanted an even, uniform look to those towers. We also work throughout the globe, actually, with Coach, and we do all of their Coach storefronts. They're on a global rollout right now. We backlight a glass block, a frosted glass block for them, and they wanted a nice warm color temperature. So we developed a 2400 LED strip that gave them that nice warm glow to that glass block. Here you can see this is their flagship store in Paris, where we did not only the exterior, but also an interior applications for them as well. So what we did is we make sure that we take the plans from the designer, from the architect, and we space our panels out accordingly. Here we wanted to make sure if we did have to break up an area into multiple panels, we hid those seam lines back behind the grout joints of this glass block. So our team works really closely with the architect and designer to make sure the intended outcome is what they get. No seam lines, even, uniform illumination. Our first case study is going to be the New York Stock Exchange, and of course, New York City. This building is a historical gem, right? So in this conference room, every sitting president has been in here. Any company that goes public signs their papers at this conference room table, and they also do events as well. So when it was first built in the 1800s, it had this gorgeous Tiffany stained glass skylight. So as New York has grown, they couldn't expand out, so they had to build on top of this skylight, and it's been dark for about 80 years. So they wanted to bring this back to life and still have the ability to have the task lighting of the recessed cans that you see that are inside each one of most of these glass panels here, but illuminate the stained glass so you could see the beauty and the integrity of that Tiffany stained glass. So the rendering is there on the right. This is a photo from 1902 and the room being utilized there. Just taking this and getting it back to its glory was super important for the architects, and we were really honored to be a part of this project. So we had to take the plans, and we needed to also address the details at the corners, which were going to be custom shaped panels, as well as how we integrated the can lights in with the light panels as well. So we took the CAD files there. You can see on the bottom that we broke these out into separate light panels, and actually then had the factory cut a hole into panel L17 so that it could accept that recessed can housing. These then were used with a 4000 Kelvin daylight white and a frosted diffuser for any time where there might be a clear or a transparent glass. We didn't want any of that laser etching showing. So we've got a light panel that's sitting on a frame with a diffuser on the bottom of it shining down through this incredible stained glass ceiling. So this is the actual finished shot there. You can see they still have the recessed cans. All of the glass is now evenly and uniformly lit. They put this on a Lutron graphic eye system, and it's dimmable down to 3% with that system there. In addition to the ceiling, we also did faux windows, as you can see on the right there. So we've got light panels in custom shapes with a diffuser on top of that as well. And this is an even better shot on the right there. You can see those light panels shining through the windows and the doors. So just a gorgeous install, and such an honor to be a part of it, and it looks spectacular. So bringing life back into these historic buildings with new technologies is something we're really excited about. So this is the Luma Hotel in Times Square. It's also in New York City there. This project was a new build of a hotel and a restaurant area, hospitality area, where they wanted to recess some laser cut metal into a couple of different niches on the wall. So one thing we had to do was, this was a large span, maybe a 30-foot span, and we can't accommodate that with one single light panel. So it's our duty to break those up into multiple panels, but also make sure we don't have any seam lines or dead zones where those panel breaks are. So in this installation shot, you see the finished product at the top there. So it's a laser cut metal. The light panel is installed against the drywall, and then we have a frosted diffuser that we shipped loose that was also cut the exact size of the light panel as well. And then where the seam lines met, we instructed the factory not to put any taping on that side of the panel. So what you see is just two pieces of acrylic meeting and not a thick stripe of dead zone where those panels meet together. So it turned out, I think, really incredible. You got the depth of those fans, the laser cut metal fans on top of the artwork with the diffuser and then the light panel behind it. It's also fully dimmable, and I believe we used a 3000 Kelvin color temperature for this installation. One of our more well-known residential projects, here we're backlighting a huge piece of honey onyx. So this was, at the time, a couple of years ago, one of the most expensive homes that was purchased in Los Angeles. And the owner of Minecraft actually ended up purchasing this home. And you can see in this table, they wanted sort of a real showstopper. This honey onyx is a huge slab, and they sort of seamed it together in the middle, so you could look like one long piece of onyx there. We had to, it was sort of thick onyx, so we wanted to make sure we bumped up the brightness of it. So we used our high power light panel, 2700 Kelvin warm white. And you can see in the left-hand shot, that's with the table off, but with it on, you just get the richness and the depth of the stone, which makes, that's what our products do. We take materials that look great on their own, but make them look even better when you highlight them and put light behind them. For this commercial building in San Francisco, they wanted accent lights to run the lobby floor. So we used about 12-inch wide long panels, high power panels, and we backlit just a frosted polycarbonate there on site. So you just get a nice strip of light that's along the ceiling there. We also had panels on that large installation. We are sort of haloing it and shining panels in on the top, the sides, and then the bottom of that really cool tile work there. So using our products in lots of different applications, it's always going to be project specific because we can build the light panel with the right color, in the right size, in the right shape to fit the needs of that particular project. That's where we excel, and that's how we've been so successful. So our next product is going to be our framed light panel, and that's exactly what it is. It's got a nice aluminum frame around the outside edge. It differs from our basic light panel in the fact that instead of the white reflective taping, it's going to have that metal surround along the perimeter of the light panel. We use these in a couple of different instances. Let's imagine we're backlighting a piece of 3form or Lumicore or a graphic art installation, and we're going to backlight the front of a reception desk, and they'd like to install it using standoffs and standoff caps. If you were to walk up to the reception desk and look down, you could see the edge of the light panel, the sort of buffer where the barrels of the standoff is, the material we're backlighting, and then the standoff caps. We want to make sure that if anytime our panels will be exposed to patrons or someone in the area, the workers, if it's a commercial space, that if they are exposed, that it gets a nice finished look to it. And that's what our framed light panel does. It also is quicker on production time too. So we use that when we know it's not going to need the flushness that a basic light panel will have. If there's some area in between the material we're backlighting and the light panel, we can use our framed system as well. Our next case study is using those framed light panels. And here we're backlighting a super cool product called Illusion. It's a stabilized foam. When you backlight, it's almost like a Brillo pad, so it gets in all those nooks and crannies and shines and reflects. And for this Porsche design tower in Miami was just a showstopper for this lobby. They needed a super cool product, a super cool lobby, because this design tower, when you bought your penthouse on the top level there, you also got your very own Porsche, and you drive it into that elevator you see behind that column, and it goes straight up to your penthouse. So they needed a super cool lobby. We used our frame light panel. We used it in a 6,000 Kelvin white color temperature. So just a nice crisp white light, and it just turned out awesome. Here you can see the architectural plans. So we take the CAD files, we break those into appropriate panel sizes. And then, because most of the times we can make a larger panel than the architectural products can make. And so we determine, all right, do we want to follow the seam lines of that particular glass or that particular acrylic, or do we want to make larger light panels to more efficiently cover the area of space with light panels? For every job and quote and order that we do, we're going to have custom drawings made. Those drawings at the bottom are what you see. They're going to illustrate the size, the shape, the cord exits, the color temperature, and those are required, signed off for every order that we produce. One, because like I said, everything is custom manufactured. We don't stock any sizes. And we also want to make sure that all parties involved in the project know what we're going to be delivering, so there's no surprises when it gets onto the job site. So our crystal light panel is different from our basic or a framed light panel because it eliminates the white reflective backer on the back. What this does is it's going to give us dual side illumination. We take the clear acrylic and we laser etch that pattern onto both sides of the acrylic. So when the LEDs shine inward, it picks up on both sides. So for shelving applications, you get illumination on the top as well as on the bottom. This has been a real winner for design, bars and lobbies, using it for liquor steps in casino applications. This here is the SLS hotel, and it's now become a corporate rollout for them. So our crystal panel is a component in this overall larger assembly here. Got a piece of tempered glass on the top, our crystal panel underneath it, and that assembly is then covered with a metal frame that covers the sandwich of all of those materials. So we're a component in that shelving, and our crystal panel allows for illumination on the top and the bottom. It comes in all of the color temperatures that we offer as well. And not only for shelving, but it's also really great for wayfinding signs. So you can use one single light panel and have two different materials or two different signage, and there's not any bleed through because we laser etch both sides of the acrylic. For this project, this is Simon Malls. We delivered about 350 of these light panels, and it took their real estate space down from about 11 inches down to 4, because unlike a traditional light box where you have a large sign, in order to get the middle not to look like a dead zone, you have to create a pretty deep light box. With our product, you can put the materials directly on top of it due to the laser etching, and you don't have any dead zones in the middle. So the crystal panel is a super win for wayfinding signs. Our next version is going to be our color light panel system. This guy comes in RGB, red, green, blue, or RGBW. It's going to have a dedicated white line, and you can specify what color white you would like as well. For most applications, typically we're going to default to a 6,000 Kelvin, just because it's a nice clean, crisp look. But if you're using this for hospitality or residential, living in a 2,700 or a 3,000 is more comfortable for us to live in. So we can do a red, green, blue with a 3,000 Kelvin white if you'd like as well. In this project here, this is the San Manuel Casino outside of Los Angeles in Southern California, and they wanted to create a design build fixture, and they wanted multiple LED light panels and color changing, and they wanted to chase the casino floor with really cool series of color. So in order to do that, we're going to be a component in this design build fixture here. So a steel manufacturer is going to make the outside rim of that. That's a laser cut metal in that bubble shape. So we have that laser cut bubble, a frosted acrylic diffuser, and then our light panels shining down through it. In each one of those larger squares, there's either 12 or I believe 16 light panels. So when we do a color changing panel, the whole panel will be blue, the whole panel will be teal, the whole panel will be yellow. We can't individually address individual diodes, and so in order to get this color changing, this chasing effect within each one of those, they had to break it down into smaller panels. So here's a little video illustrating that. Super cool, right? So they paired this with an external DMX control. Our color changing light panels can be DMX or DALI addressable. And then it was programmed with an external DMX controller so that each one of them would sort of be their own either universe or control. So it would fire the first panel at blue and then dim it down or change, slightly alter the color for 2 seconds. And those panels then just chase the casino floor, and it turned out cool. So along with RGB, RGBW, we also have color tuning, which is warm white to cool white in one single panel. So our default's going to be around a 2,400 Kelvin to a 6,000 Kelvin, but if you'd want a specific color value range, we can do that as well. I've had some hospitality projects that wanted just from 2,400 to 35, so we can do that because we make our LED strips at our factory. So we've got the ability to customize all of that. This project that you're looking at here is the Hill's Kitchen in Las Vegas. So here we're backlighting a faux onyx, And for this back wall of this bar, as the day extends into night, they warm this wall up. So start out with a nice cool white in the morning and then warm it up on DMX controls throughout the day. So this color tuning is also a great way to backlight materials that you're not sure exactly what color value you need yet. I did a project with the Tucson airport, and they had at the last minute decided that they wanted to backlight some glass art down a corridor, but the glass was primarily greens and blues, but it was in a basement in storage, and so they weren't able to do a color test on the exact glass. So they did a color tuning and then found once they were installed what the correct color temperature should be and left it at that. So that's a great way to utilize the variability in the color tuning panel without having to then put it on and make specific scenes for it. You can dial into a specific color and then quit. So we make light panels in not just squares and rectangles, but actually pretty close to any shape that you can give us a CAD file on, as long as it sticks within the constraints of our maximum sizes at 120 inches by 80. So we are a component in this larger sign application for the Top Shop. This is their flagship store in New York. We have a light panel that's backlighting a frosted material, and then the sign maker, like the other shelving project, used a metal frame to cover that assembly there. In order to do custom shapes, we of course need a CAD file so that we can send it off to our factory engineer so they can determine the specific placement of cords and also where the LEDs will be embedded along the edge. For most of our custom shape panels, we're going to limit it to standard power, but we can also do a color tuning or a color changing in a custom shape as well. For the Wilshire Grand in Los Angeles, in their healthcare facility, we did custom shaped panels at their greet desks and also at their water desks as well. Here, I wanted to make sure there wasn't any seam lines where two panels butted up against each other. So we put color changing LEDs just along the interior and the exterior of the panels there. So where the two panels met, it was just a piece of a small seam line of acrylic that met. And then we're backlighting a 3-form frosted material for the countertop there. Also for this project in the locker rooms, we integrated light panels and diffusers into an Armstrong acoustical ceiling. So instead of having 2x2s or 2x4s, they had this cool different pattern. And so we produced triangles that were shining down and then laid on the T-bar system there up in the plenum area of the locker rooms. So a great way to not only utilize the panel for architectural details, but we're actually using it for some task lighting here in these locker rooms. We've got the ability to heat form curve the light panel. So not only 2-dimensional flat panels we can do, but we can heat form them as well. Got about a 10-foot limit on heat forming our light panels, 10 feet in length as well. For this, we're going to need a 3D model, but on this circle bar design at a casino, we did color changing light panels, and then also we heat formed our diffusers, and the diffusers are set off of the light panels a little bit, and they're all sort of tied together with standoffs in this application. So if you have a curved wall, or if you want a detail of a curved assembly, we can accomplish that too. So we have an architectural millwork line. This is going to be thin strips of our light panels with or without the optional frosted diffuser. We got into this line because it works perfectly with custom millwork. And on this particular project that we're highlighting here, we're about 90% of the guest room lighting at the Peninsula Hotel in Chicago. And from this project, we're going on and doing many more Peninsula hotels, the flagship in Paris, because it can be so easily integrated with case goods and with custom millwork. Originally, so I've got a light panel shining down to the desk underneath that cabinet there. Originally, the contractor was going to use, of course, just basic tape light because it's readily available and pretty easy to install. But he found when he installed that, you could see the hot spots and the Pac-Man of the diodes in the reflection of that high gloss mahogany desk. So with ours, since the lighting is indirect and the LED strip is shining in towards the panel, and with a frosted diffuser on top of it, you just get a nice sheet of white light. So they used this and integrated it into the case goods for that under cabinet shelf there. From there, the project grew. So they said, all right, how can we highlight the top and bottom of this artwork that we're going to have in the lobby? How can we then integrate it in the headboard details? So we've got a light panel shining up. If they were going to use tape light there, the area where the light panel is sort of creates a shelf behind the bed, and they were afraid if kids spilled something or someone touched the tape, it could compromise it. So since ours is encased in acrylic, it is naturally splash proof and also not a danger to touch on the surface of it. So you've got a light panel shining up on the headboard, also shining down in the dressing areas. These are all about 2 to 3 inches wide by the length that's needed. So our architectural millwork's going to range anywhere from 1 inch wide to about 6 or 7 inches wide, depending upon the needs of your project. But it's all fully customizable and available in all of the colors that we offer. Our waterproof system is going to be a bump up in construction of the basic light panel. As you can see in the picture down at the bottom, so that's our physical light panel shot. It's the white reflective taping is going to cover the front profile of the light panel more because we do a little extra construction, add some silicone in there, make sure that the cord is jacketed. But we always still want something in front of the clear acrylic of the light panel. Any UV rays might damage or discolor that clear acrylic. So we always want to make sure we're backlighting something else. And I'd say probably about 92% of the projects that we do, we're always backlighting another material. Here on this tower in San Francisco, we're backlighting a faux onyx on the top of that tower there. So that's a 4 foot by 8 foot waterproof light panel with a piece of faux onyx that was either a resin or an acrylic in front of it, so it protects it from the UV rays. So typically on exterior projects, we're going to be backlighting glass, backlighting another material, maybe some graphic signage. Be sure to send the plans over to your project manager and say, all right, this is what we're trying to do. If you have any renderings of what you hope it turns out, it's always awesome to check that out, just to make sure we get you in the right product for the right job. We have custom media frames that are available as well. This is going to integrate a light panel inside of an aluminum structure that can hold a graphic. So it's ready to go media solutions. We can do pretty large panels on that as well. Almost our maximum size is the 120 by 80 for that. This detail that you see, that project that you see there on the left-hand side, that's a corporate office in Chicago where they printed on a thick backlit film, put it into the snap frame, opened up the snap frame front, put the graphic in, put a clear protective layer over, and then shut the assembly on the face. And it's easy install because it comes with mounting hardware on the back as well. We use those snap frames for a rollout that we're doing with Kaiser Permanente on the West Coast. This was a project that it was previously a basement that held files, and they wanted to turn it into provider offices, but didn't want the doctors to feel like they were in a basement. So they wanted to do some faux windows and some faux skylights. So our Windows media frame is perfect for that application because it also mimics the architectural details of a storefront system and of the modular office system that they were using inside this basement to create different offices. So it's just got a nice, clean, squared off contemporary look to it. It can hold all different types of artwork. Mainly, we're gonna have a printer print on a backlit film. Architects, art consultants, or designers, they're the ones who provide the graphic files. If needed, we can help facilitate printing in locations, but generally a local printer in your area will be able to print on a backlit film, and then it can be installed on site. For the faux skylights, so we have a frame that can drop into a T-bar system as well. It can print an image here and then send it to the factory, and it can be installed inside of the light frame there. These are not changeable. The snap frame, that graphic artwork is changeable on site. So that's a discussion that you'll have with your project manager too. How often do they want to change it? Do they want to change it at all? That'll sort of direct us which particular frame we want to suggest. So here our panels are also integrated into a dirt wall system. It's a modular system that can be built on site, and they fit perfectly within a channel there. And we're backlighting a printed graphic that's on a clear substrate. So it looks like huge, large faux windows. These panels were actually 10 feet by 5 feet each. So just a great way to add some color and some interest in an otherwise dark office. Here for the Weiss markets, they printed their corporate logos, also their artwork. We're using hangable snap frames as well, so that's totally something that they could change if they wanted to run promotions. Snap frames are great for retail applications or graphic signage. Available in all of the color temperatures, so you can dial into specific colors that you'd like there. We're almost wrapping up here. A couple more project slides. I find the more that you see how the light panels are used, in a lot of these instances, you don't see our product because we're behind something else, but knowing how they're integrated into projects really gets your wheels turning. For Microsoft, we do all the Microsoft stores. We do the exterior sign at the top there. Sign maker takes a metal frame, puts a light panel in it, puts a 1-inch piece of frosted white acrylic, and then a graphic film for the colors in each of the boxes. So you get that nice cool halo effect. Also, we are in the kiosks that you see there, backlighting a graphic. And then along the walls, we have large, I believe they're about 5 foot by 7 foot light panels back behind a fabric light box. So fabric is a great way that retailers change promotional signage, and it's easily rolled out to numerous locations without having shipping be a nightmare. So we've got fabric light box extrusions that have a light panel already in it that are readily available and come in all specific sizes as well. In Seattle, the contractor wanted to dress up an otherwise dark corner and give a little interest to this wayfinding signage here. So this is a corner application. They built a faux wall about 4 inches behind the laminated glass, installed light panels on 2 sides. So there's one on the City Soups Jimmy John's, and then there's 2 light panels shining out towards this larger glass installation here, and they inset that wall in order to make it so that there wasn't a dark corner. So stepping back and allowing some space in between what we're backlighting sort of fills that gap, and you don't have a dark corner there. All right, that's it on projects and product specifics. These next slides are a couple of pages from our brochure. Our brochure is available on our website, or also our local rep groups have physical hard copies as well. The technical specifications go in a little bit of what we offer as far as media frames. On our website under spec sheets is all of our light panel specs as well as our media frame specs, so check those guys out. The diagram you see there is just a little diagram on how we diffuse seam lines, having material or backlighting stepped away from our light panels and what distance you need. Some mounting accessories, we can use standoffs. You can pre-drill holes at our factory, or we can use some offset clips. We provide those Z mounting brackets at a charge, or typically the contractor or installer will provide his own mounting hardware. So check this out in the brochure. Our user guide is available with that QR code down at the bottom, or also on the website. So you're a designer, architect, and you want to know, all right, what do we need exactly? How do we obtain a quote? How do I see if this fits within my budget? The project managers or quotations will be asking a couple of questions. What's the application? What are we backlighting? Do you have any concept drawings that you can share so we can see your intended output? What's the panel size and shape? How bright does it need to be? The color temperature? And then do you want them dimmable? And how are you planning to install this? and also what is the project name so we can register it in the correct location, as well as where is it going to be delivered to. Like I said, we have reps throughout the country and they handle all of the orders that we have incoming. On the last page of our spec sheet, you'll see this fillable online form. It's going to help you answer most of those and also generate a product code that can go on the fixture schedule. So when it does come time to order, we know exactly what we need to do for custom drawings or approvals. And that project code is going to have the dimensions, the color temperature, where you want the cord, does it need to be UL listed or UR for signage, all that good stuff. So check those forms out, they're super helpful. Our standard lead time for air freight, we have two different ways that we ship. So for air freight, our standard lead time is going to be 3 to 4 weeks. That's from PO purchase and purchase order, signed drawings, and then payment per the terms. Or if you'd like to elect a discounted freight, then we also have a container program where you only pay for the shipping from the Port of Los Angeles to your destination. So it's a great way to save on freight costs if you have enough lead time to ensure maybe a 6 to 8 week lead time there for ground shipping. Here's a standard drawing like before. Said you'll see the size, the shape, where the LEDs are placed, the color temperature, where your cord's going to exit, and your overall wattage for the panel. If we're going to pre-drill holes at the factory, we need to know what the location is for those holes. Also, if this were a custom shape, like a circle, a triangle, or maybe a corporate logo, you'll see your custom shape there, as well as your cord exit and any other notes that we have there for offering a diffuser, all of that good stuff. These all need to be signed off before order. So just to recap on the order, what we need: a purchase order, your payment per your terms, approved drawings, and any notes that we need to know for shipping if this isn't going to a distributor or somewhere with a bay. Our products are shipped in a custom plywood crate, so we'll need to know if that a lift gate or something will be needed at time of delivery. And that's it. So thank you guys for joining us. If you have any project specific or you need a quote, you can email us at quotes@eoslight.com. Like I said before, all of our local rep group representation is available on our website. You can see who covers the area that you're in. And you can also check out our spec sheets. All of our project photos are on there, some good project inspiration. You can check that out at eoslight.com. Haywood asked, where can I buy light panels? Great question. So you're going to want to contact your local rep group area. If we aren't covered in your specific area, send in an email to quotes@eoslight.com and we can get you set up with purchasing. We need to know specifics of the project, specific sizes, and then we'll get you a quote. And hopefully, if it works for your project, we can get you some light panels out in a couple of weeks. Jeff asks if he can come to a showroom. So Jeff, our office, our sales office is in Los Angeles, but we don't have a specific showroom that we sell out of. So we utilize local rep groups in your area to go out and to make those introductions. So let me know where in the continental US. Also, we have representation in Hawaii and Alaska too, and Canada. So if you're in any of those areas, go see who your local rep group is. They have samples that they can share with you as well. Jeff, if you'll send me an email to info@eoslight, we'll get you set up with your rep group. All right, thanks guys. Appreciate you participating. We'll see you later.